God has already kept me from what could have been happened. Look at 2 Timothy chapter 11. Y'all there? 2 Corinthians chapter 11. Y'all there? 2 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians. Y'all there? Chapter 11. Verse 25. What does it say? Look at verse 25. Paul here in 2 Corinthians chapter 11 gives you a rundown of the troubles that he's already experienced. So the next time before I complain, let me look at this 2 Corinthians chapter 11 and give God a rundown of what I've been through. Because Paul says, listen, God has already kept me from trouble. Look at what he says. He says, 3 times I've been beaten with rods, 1 stone, 3 times shipwrecked, spent a night and a day in the open sea. I've been constantly on the move. I've been in danger in rivers and dangers in bandits and in danger of fellow Jews and in danger of Gentiles and in danger in the city, and I go in the country and they after me even there. Paul says, I've been in danger in the sea. I've been in danger because of false believers. I have labored and toiled and have often gone without sleep. I have no hunger. I have no thirst and has often gone without food. I have been cold and I have been naked. And Paul says, after all of that, in 2 Timothy chapter 4, I still kept the faith. Paul gives us a rundown of what he'd been through. And Paul said, after going through all of that, guess what I did? I kept the faith. I kept the faith. And when we're looking at Paul's life and the content and the context and the intent of this letter that Paul is writing, his perspective, my Linda, is extremely impressive, because here's where we're gonna wrap this up here in a few minutes. Paul, here's his impressive perspective. Paul here is actually recalling in this moment the promise of God. He recalls to his mind the promise of God. That after all that I just told y'all about in 2 Corinthians 11, God kept me. I know that I'm about to be beheaded in a little bit. Nero got me on trial. He gonna get me. I know he not gonna let me go. Paul say, but I got a promise from God, so I ain't stressing. Look at verse 8 of 2 Timothy chapter 4. Verse 8, 2 Timothy chapter 4. Paul says, here's the promise. Henceforth, there's laid up for me a crown of righteousness. That's the promise, which the Lord, who is the righteous judge, shall give me at that day. That's my promise. And not to me only, but unto all that also that love his appearing. Paul said, that's my promise. Because the perspective of living forward has to be rooted in the promises of God and not our current problems. Your perspective in living forward has to be rooted in the promise of God and not our current problems. Paul is literally standing trial when he writes this letter for the second time. This is his second time on trial. And Paul chooses to write a letter, then turn on God. That's impressive. Because I'm telling you right now, I ain't writing y'all no letter. I ain't turning on God, but I ain't going to be thinking about y'all. I know somebody said, huh? And you wouldn't be thinking about me. You going to be saying, God, get me out of this mess. I ain't thinking about that church I came out of. Just get me. I ain't thinking about them people. I know they in trouble too. I ain't thinking about them right. I ain't studying them right through here. I'm studying me right through here, God. This is me and you. You remember the old song church used to sing, it's me, oh Lord. Standing, not my brother, not my sister, but it's me, oh Lord. Not my mama, not my daddy, but it's me, oh Lord. I'm standing in the need of prayer. That song said, I ain't thinking about none of y'all. I ain't thinking about none of y'all. Y'all deal with your own problems right through here. I got my own set of issues. And Paul, instead of saying, I got my own